Hello folks, this is Mike Haley7 coming to you from beautiful Willow Spring, North Carolina on this wonderful day of August 29th, 2018. It's a nice morning, not too hot. And I'm on my way to work. I always try to take a little bit of a different route for you folks so that you don't see the same exact thing every time. Hello, truck. Hello, van. Alright, so I got a topic for you. This is a continuation of a story about my dad. So, as you may know from previous videos, my dad, he was rather good at the violence. And so, one day I needed him. Here's what happened. When I was in junior high school, well, elementary too, I was a nerd. I was a giant nerd. I know you're shocked. I know. What, Mike? You weren't a jock? You weren't one of the cool kids? No, I know. It's a shock to find out that I'm not one of those. No, I was a giant nerd. And I got bullied. And my father, you know, he grew up fighting, street fighting, and it was his way, you know, and it was a Marine, and so he learned all kinds of unique and horrible ways to hurt and kill people. So, well, there's the moon. You can't see it, but I can. Anyway, he taught me all kinds of stuff, and I didn't want to use it because I didn't want to go to jail at the age of 7, 8, 9. But when I was 13 in 1984, I was getting near the end of my 7th grade year. And this kid was picking on me. His name was Mike Lassard. And he was picking on me all year. Because I was a nerd. And it was right around the end of the year, and he was throwing erasers at me. So I turned around and I told him if he did one more time, if he threw one more eraser at me, he was quote-unquote dead. So he threw another eraser at me. So now I've made up my mind. So after class, I'm standing in the hallway waiting for him to come out, and he comes out. And I get into my stance, because my dad taught me, you know, martial arts, and I get into my martial arts stance, ready to go. And he didn't want to fight. We're going to get in trouble. The principal's going to put us in detention. So, like an idiot, and wanting to be defensive rather than offensive, I said, all right, after school. So, after school came, he wasn't there. Next day, okay, after school wasn't there, and this other kid was there, and he said, oh, he can't fight today, whatever, he made an excuse. So 3 days go by, and what he's doing is going around the school getting all his friends to support him. And so I got my friends, all 2 of them, and they said they would support me in this fight. So now day 3 comes, and he has gotten the entire 8th grade. I'm in the 7th grade with him, but he's got the entire 8th grade and most of the 7th grade to come out to this fight and scream and yell at me and call me a pussy and all this. So we walk out to this field to fight. I take off my jacket, and they're laughing at me for taking off my jacket. And they say, he's gonna kick your ass, you fucking pussy. So I'm not mad anymore because it's been 3 days. So he shoves me. No, I'm still not mad. He shoves me again. No, still not mad. Shoves me a 3rd time and hauls off and belts me one. Punches me right across the jaw. And I felt my mouth move from the center of my face, you know, down the lower center of my face where it always is. It was like it was over on my right ear. Now I was mad. As my father used to say, it was like a spark plug up the ass. So I turned to him with my rage face, which is pretty damn scary. and funny, depending on how you perceive it. And I said, "Now you did." So, fight came on, you know, fight on, and we were scrapping her all over the ground. Because pretty much all fights, they might start out all fancy with stances and stuff, like karate movies, but they usually end up on the ground. As the MMA fighters call it, the ground and pound. And he ended up somehow on his back on my head. And so I reached up and I did this deal, and I hooked him in the throat, and I gagged him. I heard him gag, and he got off of me, and then suddenly I got on top of him. Now I'm sitting on his belly, and I'm punching him in the face, kind of like Ralphie did in that Christmas movie, you know, they're flooring and filth and flooring and filth. So he's finally had enough. I've clearly won. I get up, and because, you know, I'm still mad, and it's Lynn, Massachusetts, where people are badasses, so I go to give him one good stomp in the stomach. Well, I did, but I didn't stomp really that hard, because I don't want to kill the kid. And he rolls on his side, and he yells loudly, "Oh, my balls!" Well, back in those days, that was the line you don't cross. Don't fight dirty, don't kick somebody in the balls. And I didn't, but he claimed I did. And so, the crowd turned on me, and I realized if I started to run, they would rip me to shreds. So I just turned slowly and walked home. And as I was walking, people jumped on top of me, put me in headlocks, knocked me down, stabbed me in the stomach with a pencil. And I kept walking until this guy came out of his house and saw me and said, "Come inside the house, I'll protect you." And everybody thought that I had left in a cop car that had gone by magically. And so they left me alone. I got home, dusted myself off, and I realized that, you know, these kids are all against me now. So I called my dad, told him what happened. He said, "I'm coming to school with you tomorrow." So he picks me up, we go to the school, he walks into the principal's office, and there's this big metal desk that blocks, and he flips the thing over, passes the secretary, who's like, and he goes into the principal's office, grabs the principal by his tie and his shirt, whatever, and throws him up against the wall and has him pinned there by the throat. My dad did this. Pins the principal to the wall, and he points back at me and he says, "You see this kid? It's my son. Anything happens to this kid, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna fucking kill you and your wife and your family. I'm gonna burn your fucking house down. You fucking hear me?" And the principal is just kind of completely shocked, like, "Oh, I was having coffee a minute ago, and now I'm being threatened." So my dad drops him, and he then proceeds to say, "Come on, we go to every classroom in the school." He slams the door open, tells the teacher to sit down and shut up, and he says to me, "Point out the ones that hit you." So now I have to, you know, I accuse. So I'm pointing at each one, and he says the same thing to them. "You see this kid? This is my son. You touch this kid again, I'll kill you. I'll kill your family and burn your fucking house down. I'll beat your mother to death with your family dog. You hear me?" So he terrified the entire school, classroom by classroom. And then we get in the car and go home. Yeah. Nobody called the police. Nobody said a word. The next day when I went to school, nobody touched me. As a matter of fact, they stayed the fuck away from me, because my father would have done it. I mean, he blew up his neighbor's porch with a stick of dynamite just because the guy's dog was shitting on his lawn. He didn't fuck with my dad. Oh, God. And he always loved, whenever he was going to beat somebody up really that he really hated, he would always say, "I wait until there's no witnesses." Oh, God. Oh, what a character. And he really did that stuff. I mean, yeah. I'll give you more stories later on if you want to hear them. But my dad was a walking hurricane, tornado, nuclear weapon of a human being. Toughest man I ever saw. And I miss him like hell. I know it's funny to say, you miss that? Well, I don't miss the violence, but I miss that he loved me. And we had great conversations. When he got older, he calmed down, of course, somewhat. Alright, folks, this is my Kaylee 7 reminiscing about my father. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm about to go to school here after this light changes, so I will depart from you here. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.